Hey guys, what's going on? So it's been about at least 3 or 4 years since I've made a YouTube video, but I have an opportunity and some free time to make one now. I'm going to be doing a video about my 96 Toyota Supra. I'm going to be doing a little walkthrough about doing the Toyota Tundra alternator upgrade to it. But before we get into that, I'll give you a little walk around of the car. So this is my Supra. It's a 96.5, so it's an S2 model. It's a factory twin turbo 6-speed car. It's basically stock, in pretty decent shape. Does have cat deletes, a front mount intercooler on it, some HKS piping and blow off valve, but besides that, it's pretty much a nearly stock car. So about 2 weeks ago, we had some decent weather, so I took the car out for the first time. I don't drive it a lot. I just did an oil change on it, fired it up and took it in town. Some guys wanted to meet up, so I brought the car out for the first time this year. When I got there, we were gonna go for a drive. I went to start it and the battery was dead, which is a little bit weird just because it did sit all winter, but I did leave it on a battery tender. So I wasn't really suspecting a battery issue with it. I probably should have checked it over before I took it out, but for this one, we went to go for the drive. The car wouldn't start. Found out that the battery was just not, it's 5 years old and it wasn't holding up the way it should have. So I ended up replacing the battery in it. A buddy there at the meet gave me jump home and then just kind of followed me just to make sure the car didn't quit again. While we were there, we did notice that the alternator didn't seem to be charging. In this car, it seems to charge about 13.6, 13.7 at idle, and I was only getting about 12.2 volts. It was enough to basically get home, but when you had the lights on or some other accessories in the car, it really, you could tell that it just wasn't outputting like it should be. So what I ended up doing was, this is an alternator from an 06 Toyota Tundra, part number right there. I ended up grabbing this after making a post on the forum about what other guys were doing, what they suggested. I didn't want to cut any wiring on the car, so I ended up getting this adapter from Powerhouse Racing. Basically, this is the Tundra side plug. This would have been, well, this is the female version of the male chassis plug on the Supra, so it just converts it so you don't have to unpin anything. And then about 2 years ago, I bought this belt just from AFR. They're kind of a local tuner shop in town. I just honestly, like I said, I just have never gotten really around to driving this car much or working. I've had this car for about 2 years. I really, I bet you I've only put 200 kilometers on it. Like, I have not driven it much. When I bought it, I ended up just, to get it through inspection, I did do brand new rear control arms, like upper Toyota ones, and new Toyota wheel bearings in the back. They had some play, and something like this you kind of just want to be perfect. Like I said, the car is in pretty nice shape. Pretty much the only other stuff I did when I bought the car is I replaced this headlight because it had a crack in it, and it was letting moisture in. And then I did get the hood repainted because it had some stone chips and whatnot on it. Other than that, one of the only other things I did was I replaced the shift knob. It was just a bit worn out. And this is, I think from a Lexus or an Altezza or whatever they're called, steering wheel that a buddy gave me. And I just thought it was a bit nicer than the factory 4-spoke one, even though that steering wheel is in good condition. Yeah, hopefully you guys can see not too bad. My light is dead and my charger is at work, but what the plan here is, I'm just gonna rip this piping off here and take this heat shield out to give us some access down there. The alternator, you guys really can't see, is down in there, right down that area. One extra step I'll be doing, just because I want to replace the belt, is I'll be taking this. It's like a dampening shock that all of the manual cars have. I read on some forums that it was supposed to, basically if you're shifting the car hard and the engine jerks, I think they were worried about the belt coming off. If that's wrong, anyone in the comments feel free to tell me a different reason. But yeah, so let's kind of set you guys up and then we'll just do a bit of a time lapse of taking a few things off. Step one, I'm gonna just disconnect the battery positive just because there obviously is a power wire running down to the starter. All right guys, so I think I already have a problem here. Like I said, I bought a belt quite a while ago. I just took the belt off the car. You can see if I hold them together like this, the older belt seems to be slightly longer, and the older belt was already very tight coming off. So I'm not 100% sure if this is gonna fit. I'll still try it just because I have it. And if not, I will return it probably tomorrow, and I'll just order a belt through where I work instead. Maybe now that some stuff is out of the way, you can see the alternator a bit better there. I kind of dropped the ball a little bit with my only light that I have here being dead. That's a bit of a story, but yeah, let's get this alternator off. All right, guys, she's out. Check out the condition of this thing. She's definitely been well used, served her purpose for sure. Not overly surprised. Not as strong as she used to be. Look at it inside of there. Burnt up and whatnot. I think she did her job, that's for sure. And another thing, I know that with the twins on here, these engines do look fairly kind of complicated to work on, but the 2J is honestly a pretty friendly engine to work on. The only thing holding the alternator on, this plug, this power wire, focus please, this power wire, and there is a nut on that stud right there, and then there's one bolt up there. That's all that holds it on. So now, with these two alternators side by side, you can see there is a bit of a difference to them. What we're gonna do, place it on the stud, and then this corner right here, we're gonna mark, and we're gonna have to cut it. From other videos and looking on old forums, I've seen that it's approximately 5 millimeters that we have to trim off of this ear, just so then it fits flat like that one. See how this one is about that width and that one is a bit more. That's all we have to do, and then we get the adapter harness on, and then we'll see if this belt situation will work itself. All right guys, I have the alternator just kind of set in place here. I just want to show you what I'm talking about. So you can see the clearancing issue right there. So what I'm gonna do, I have this held nice and tight. I might actually even use the nut to hold it in place so it's nice and tight. I'm gonna put a mark on the alternator right off of this line, and that way I'll know how much I need to trim off. Now, if you are not a poor mechanic like I am, you'd probably just maybe take that to a machine shop or get it, you know, nicely trimmed off. I'm gonna use a grinder. You can use a grinder too, as long as it's flat. You know, you just want to have a nice flat mating surface. That's all that matters. All right, so you can see here's our line. If it looks like a child drew it, that's because a child did draw it. I drew it. So I guess the peak is maybe about probably 5 mil, and then you can see it kind of tapers down. So we're gonna cut that, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys, so the cut has been made. See right there, only the finest machine work in this garage. That's what I cut off. We'll give her a test fit. Just want to make sure that it's straight, because if your cut is off, like a little too, you didn't cut off enough, the alternator will be slightly on an angle. That's gonna throw your belt off. And that is not what we want. All right guys, so I put the alternator in. It looks like it's nice and straight lined up. We're gonna install it now, put everything back together. So I'll throw you guys on a time lapse. One thing I did want to note, remember, it's always better to cut a little bit less off because you can always cut more off. You cannot add once you cut too much off. So just make sure, you know, you mark it properly. I did see one guy in one of the forums or videos, he did cut a little bit too much off, so he ended up putting a washer behind it, which I don't necessarily think is a bad idea. Like I said, it's just you want to get it as straight as possible because you don't want to spit a belt. So guys, I was just putting the alternator in. I noticed one other thing that's going to need to be trimmed. These ears, they do not fit around the new alternator stud. The other one had a space in it that those ears could sit in, so just have to trim these off, and then this can go on the post on the alternator. All right guys, so kind of as suspected, that belt is not remotely close to fitting. It's coming up a little too short, much like myself, so regardless, I'm just gonna put the old belt on so then I can start it up and just make sure that it's charging and all the problems are actually fixed with it, and then I'll just get a new belt tomorrow. All right guys, so I got the belt and everything back on there. I do have that dampener shock off still, and the intake is off. I just want to start it up, make sure it's kind of charging how it was before, and then like I said, tomorrow I'll grab a belt. So once I grab the belt, then I'll put the rest of the piping and whatnot in, but let's start it up and see. I always wondered in high RPM, this car has always squeaked the belt. Originally, I thought it's because maybe the belt was worn out and too loose, but I think that with the tightened dampener on this car, it could be slightly bigger than stock. I haven't looked online to see, but this belt is just, it's a bit too tight for the car. So I'm assuming when it's revving up a little bit higher, that's kind of where my belt squeak is coming from. But yeah, let's fire it up and make sure it's all charging. Alright, let's see. So the Supra doesn't have a factory voltage gauge in it, so I just got this little adapter. It just goes in like your cigarette lighter port, but I'm gonna turn some stuff on and we'll just kind of see, make sure voltage doesn't drop, because last time my issue was I would turn some accessories on and this would drop right down to about around 11 volts or so. Oh, I got a light out. So yeah, I just want to turn all the accessories on. I got the lights on and the heat. I mean, there's not really that many accessories in one of these older JDM cars. You can see we're holding 14 volts, which is ideal. That's exactly what I want. Our light is out. Oh. There we go. That's why I get paid the big bucks. So like I said, the intake and stuff is off right now. But she's charging up good. Man, I really need to clean this engine bay, eh? Alright guys, well it looks like that kind of went according to plan, which is nice. I'll do another video. I need to take this thing for an alignment. The very first actual car show is supposed to be this Thursday. I'm making this video on a Sunday, so hopefully I can get the car in for alignment. If not, it's not too far into town. I don't mind driving it. I just don't want to go for any longer drives in it. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, and yeah, like the video. That would help me out a lot, and hope we can make some more videos.